She gave a hungry boy free food years later. He bought her a house. The cozy Nook Diner, owned by Martha Bellweather, was not anything special. There were booths made of faded vinyl, the ever-present aroma of coffee and bacon grease, and a neon sign that flickered and buzzed like a weary bumblebee. Martha observed a little figure hunched beneath the awning on a Tuesday that was sleeting heavily. It was a youngster, about 10 years old, who was drenched and freezing. His eyes were fixated with a raw yearning on the hot chicken soup special that was advertised in the fogged-up window. Leo was his given name. When Martha invited him in, set him down at the counter, and slid a bowl of that soup toward him, she did not ask any questions. The soup was rich with carrots, celery, and soft chicken shreds. Under her breath, she said, "On the house, sweetheart," as she placed a buttered bun next to it. When she looked at him, she saw that his coat was worn out, that his shoes were too large, and that his fingers were shaking as he held the spoon. He ate as if he were someone who was scared the food might go. The words "Thank you, ma'am" were hushed by him in between each mouthful. "Sooner or later, I will repay you, guaranteed." There was nothing more that Martha did except smile, refill his water glass, and serve him a thick piece of apple pie. It's not a debt, Leo. Kindness is that. That's all it is. ... Compassion. When you are able to, please pass it on. As he was leaving, she slipped a $20 cash, which was concealed in a napkin, into his pocket. She also gave him 2 turkey sandwiches to eat later. She did not come upon him again. Life continued on, as it had a tendency to do. The economic downturn began. This eatery had a hard time, despite the fact that Martha's businesses were hurting. She continued to serve customers who were struggling financially by making pancakes, pouring coffee, and providing them with complimentary bread. The present day, 15 years after the event, it was now quieter in the restaurant, and the neighborhood was undergoing change. Martha, who was 68 years old, was considering selling. Both the grind and the mounting repairs were wearing her down to the point of exhaustion. An elegant black automobile arrived on the scene on a brisk morning in the fall. As he emerged, a tall guy who was dressed well and had an air of calm assurance. Instead of going to the counter, he went right to Martha, who was cleaning the tables as he entered the door. "Mrs. Bellweather." With a voice that was heavy with passion, he inquired, "Are you able to recall a child who was really hungry and very wet that you fed on a dreadful night?" A promise, along with some chicken soup and apple pie. She squinted, and then she let out a gasp. "Leo, is that you? Leo?" Rapidly, tears began to build up. He greeted her with a smile and said, "It's Leonardo Vance now, ma'am." He made a motion toward a booth. "Could I place another order for the soup? And for the sake of the past. Leo related his tale to them while they sat there. That evening, Martha's generosity served as a turning point in the story. How the $20 allowed him to purchase bus tickets to his aunt's house, which was safer. The way in which her words, "pass it on," became into his slogan. He had worked evenings, studied technology, and finally established a sustainable food distribution software that linked leftover food from eateries with food banks after he had finished his studies. Even though he had achieved a great deal of success, he never forgot the lady whose uncomplicated actions had given him reason to have hope. Martha grinned, her pride shining brightly. "Oh, Leo, it is really fantastic, simply great, passing it on to others." Leo leaned in closer to the audience. "What about the pledge I made to you, Mrs. Bellweather, saying I'll pay you back? I was serious about it. It wasn't enough for me to just write a check, however. The sense of safety, warmth, and belonging that you provided to me was something that I wanted to give back to you." Over the Formica table, he slid a huge envelope over the surface. Legal materials were included therein, even while it is not a title to a new home. It is something far more significant: the deed to the structure that houses the cozy Nook Diner in a stealthy manner. Leo ended up purchasing it outright from the landlord. Leo went on to explain to Mrs. Bellweather that this was more than simply a home, and his eyes shone brightly. "This is your home, the location where you created a home for everyone that entered through that door when they were hungry. Whether they were looking for food, comfort, or simply a kind word. For all time, the rent is paid over. There is coverage for the repairs. Free and clear, it is yours to own. You are free to operate it, retire from it, transform it into a communal kitchen, or do whatever else you want. This location, ... This serves as your heart. Furthermore, I wanted to guarantee that it would always be yours." Martha was unable to articulate her thoughts as she rubbed her shaking fingertips over the engraved characters on the deed. The eatery she frequents, it was her safe haven. It is her legacy. It is safe. Martha did not go into retirement. On the contrary, the cozy nook underwent a transformation with Leo's support. In the day, it was a lively community cafe that offered a pay-what toucan option. And in the evening, it transforms into Martha's much-loved traditional diner. Not only does she teach young cooks who come from difficult backgrounds dishes, but she also teaches them the gravy boats of kindness that she has mastered over the course of many decades. During his many visits, Leo would often roll up his sleeves to wash dishes and will always request chicken, soup, and other delicacies. What makes this story so resonant? The house was her heart. Leo was aware that Martha's actual home was not a brick and mortar establishment located in another location. Rather, it was the restaurant itself which was her life, as work and the shelter that she gave to others. He restored her world to her before. The concept of kindness as seed capital. Leo did not just get rich and repay. Using Martha's lesson as a foundation, he developed his career by developing mechanisms that amplified acts of generosity, such as his food distribution software. Her $20 investment resulted in societal rewards that were exponential. A quiet dignity. Martha never sought credit for her accomplishments. Her action was natural and human in nature. The restitution that Leo made was not a spectacular act of charity. Rather, it was very intimate and respected both her dignity and her domain. Martha's legacy is cemented as her influence now spreads across the community cafe, directly impacting the lives of many others and ensuring that her pass-it-on attitude establishes itself as an institution. A framed napkin is hung on the wall of the restaurant, right next to the old board that lists the soup specials. It is the same one that Martha used 15 years ago to wrap the $20 cash. The following is written on a plaque that is located underneath it. The smallest currency sometimes holds the greatest value. Put money into being nice. Compounding the problem is Leonardo Vance, who owes a debt of gratitude to Martha Bellweather, who was his first investment. The soup is still prepared by Martha. In addition, each dish has the flavor of coming home.